Hello,
So how
David.
many kids you have?
I got three. I got three kids. So we're currently I just hit the button and we're currently live.
Okay, with Carlos, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Sorry about that. So
Yeah, yeah.
I was
That's right.
I was just speaking with David few moments ago, and he mentioned to me that you guys knew each other I know definitely from county jail. You guys were kind of, I think, might have been in
Yeah,
the same unit, and then he also told me
yeah.
he wanted me to mention to you that he was proud of you, for what you're doing and your story, you sharing your story.
That's right. Yeah. No, me and David go way back. You know, we were still at that time real prideful. Um, like just pretty much didn't care about our lives no more. You know what I mean? We already had got like pretty deep sentences during that time, and we crossed our paths. You know, we were doing all the bad stuff. You know what I mean? Making prono. You know, smashing on food. Like when we're all drunk, and then, you know, pretty much like had each other's back as we were over there. And he's a solid homie that I'd done time with in county jail before I went upstate and before he went upstate. And you know, we weren't really rehabilitated during that time because we were still venting out all our frustrations that we've been through in life and the way we were brought up and everything. Like we were still taking out on people, right? And all we would do is just pretty much try to mask and numb our pains, right? And he kind of caught me in the beginning stages of my transformation, trying to like do good, but then again, like still have my hand in the cookie jar, kind of type deal, you know, like you know when you're barely going through the first stages, you're like you're in and you're out. You're not fully all the way in because they're barely introducing the new way of life to you. And so he was still, you know, rocking and rolling. I remember late at night we would we would do just bump jams, right? I'll put a beat on him, and he'll start rapping, and you know, right before we go to sleep, right, we'll have a big old night session, right? You know, about the flesh and about the things we've been doing, and you know, just trying to find a good family-based group, you know, that you know you see every single day, you eat with every single day, you work out with every single day, you know, more than you do your real family, right? And so these guys become your family when you stay in county jail for a couple of years, right? And you know, they become part, like almost like, you know, the next best thing, like to wake up to, like someone that you can lean on, someone you can talk to, you know. And David was one of those guys, man. He's upright, he's solid, and he's came a long ways. And it's a trip because we ran into Pats here, and I heard nothing but good things about him, and for him to see me, because the last time I left him, you know, I was heading towards death row, and he hadn't gotten sentenced yet, but to see him again and just to finally hear him speak to me was way different. It was a whole another language, right? It was that rehabilitated language. He cared about himself. You could tell he was changed, right? Just in the first 10 seconds I was listening to him, I was like, wow. And the first thing I told him, I remember telling him, hey, man, I'm proud of you, man. That's right. Like, man, I miss you, bro. You know what I mean? Like, man, it's been a while. You know, we'll catch up when I get out there. And you know, that's someone that, like I said, I love my brother, you know? That's a good brother right there to know. And it's someone that I'll always have his back no matter what. You know what I mean? Like they say, even if he's wrong, that's my bro. You know what I mean? Like he's one of those that I'll go all out for. But he never puts himself in any position like that. So he's real respectful and like I am too. You know what I mean? And but I'm proud of him too. You know, I'm proud of his change. And I know they see mine. I know they can tell right away because you know they see me do some things in county jail too. And I'm glad that we're all together in this journey. You know what I mean? Like with these people that when we first started, we're meeting up and we're there encouraging each other. You know?
oddly enough, he said that he was surprised when he saw you, show up in Centinela. He said he couldn't believe his eyes, because the last, like the last place he knew you were at was at in, death row in San Quentin. So you show up there, and he couldn't believe his eyes. He thought, he just couldn't believe you were there.
Yeah, he did look surprised. What I mean, and like I said, like when I try to explain to him about the pilot program and how they're letting us out to come. I told him they're letting us out to come and play. Spread our wings a little bit. But yeah, they're letting us out to integrate and to see if we can really rehabilitated. What I mean, and not be stuck in them walls, man, and just running away with nobody to encourage us, nobody to like. It feels like when you're in there in death row, like we're forgotten. And like I feel like now that I'm in a place like this, I have a voice. I'm seen, and I'm respected on a whole nother level that I've never thought before, because it's it's got nothing to do with pride. It got nothing to do with things that I was known for in my past, but it's about these new characters and these new attributes that I've learned through reading the Bible and living it out, and also through self help groups. So he's seen that, and I'm glad that I ran into him though.
Yeah, I'm sure that it was a good feeling, seeing a familiar face, from a familiar place on the street. Did you guys ever come
Yeah,
across each other on the streets, or was it just from either juvenile facilities and county jail?
just in the system. Yeah, not in the streets. He comes from like I think San Fernando or San Gabriel Valley, somewhere out there in LA. And yeah, it's in the system that I met up with them. And you know I'm pretty sure if we would have met up in the streets, man, it would have been chaos. And the way we were both living, oh no. Yeah, it would have been all bad for the people that we would have ran into.
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm sure of that. um,
Yeah.
and would you mind, sharing any stories that you think would provide any value to our listeners, as far as, the things that you saw or experienced in death row? Because I'm pretty sure, I mean, in that place, it just doesn't seem uh it just seems like a dark, gloomy place. Everybody has been sentenced to death, and I can't see anybody really being happy in that place. What was your experience like, and what did you see? Anything that you could share with us about the experience in death row, we would really appreciate.
Okay. Well, let me see. There's like from being there my first couple of years, maybe like 4 years, I started like noticing uh different behaviors, right? And let's just say the youngsters, right? The youngsters that would come in, they've never been to prison ever before, and they don't know how it is to do time. So those are the ones that usually, they wig out. They start flipping out. They don't know how to be stuck in a box and do time. So they start, seeking attention, right? So these are the ones that start cutting themselves, or
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
they also give us like these buckets to sit down on, as chairs, and then sometimes these guys would get their buckets and just start banging on them like boom, 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 boom at 3 o'clock in the morning while everybody's asleep. You know what I mean? And the CEOs will show up like, hey, what the hell's your problem? And they'll be like, boom, 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 like real loud, like they're waking up like a big ass whole section, right? And just trying to make noise because they don't know how to do time like this, and they're just trying to find some type of outlet to deal with their frustration. And there's other people that would find enjoyment just to watch another person suffer, right? So there's also other kinds of inmates in there that they would make these shampoo bottles, right? And they would save their piss. Literally, they would save their piss, and they would save pieces of their feces and stuff like that, and put them in bottles and squirt them up into the tier like that, and so everybody can smell all that funk, right? And the thing is, to them, they would do it to get attention. They would do it to start to get under people's skin, and
You have 60 seconds remaining.
these type of inmates hardly ever never come out, right? So they get they get stuck in their cells like little hermits, right? And never come out and do all these atrocities, you know what I mean? And 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 pretty foul stuff, right? Like this is the type of people that exist in there also. So, but let me call you back.
Okay, we'll be here. We'll be waiting. Thank you. All right, and this would be the second interview for the day today. Earlier on, I was speaking with David, and we're on for about 2 minutes. Definitely want to check out his story, and we should be going on live either tomorrow or the following day. It's gonna be David and Jesse, so we're gonna do a I would say a panel interview. Definitely excited, to have both of them on. Jesse's hasn't been on for I think maybe over 2 weeks now. Um, so they're definitely going to be on tomorrow, and then we're just going to go ahead and continue with Carlos's interview here. And Jesse earlier on had mentioned, or Jesse, sorry, David had mentioned that that Carlos's picture was up on a website, and I actually right now while we're talking, I was looking that picture up.
This call is now being recorded.
This is Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Carlos Contreras.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, Carlos.
All right.
Um,
Yes. And so like, yeah.
So earlier on, when I was speaking with David, he actually mentioned that your picture was up on a San Quentin death row webpage, and I looked it up right
Yeah.
now when we were talking, and I was able to locate your picture. I was wondering, would it be okay with you to
Right.
to share that picture with our listeners, or what's your
Yeah.
thought on it? Yeah.
Yeah, like that's it's all public records, you know what I mean, and at the same time, there's one like on YouTube also. It says like I think it's all the people on death row from Riverside County, and my picture comes out in there too.
Oh, okay.
It's you know, yeah, and that's another website that comes out, you know what I mean, like people on death row from Riverside County, and then my picture comes out, my name and everything, and so yeah, that's no problem.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and so like I was telling you, right? There's a lot of different characters up in Death Row that you run into, people that don't know how to do time, and they find different means to lash out. So the other kind, like for example, one of these guys I used to know, he would literally cell extract almost every 3 months on purpose, and he was one of those guys that hardly ever came out. And he was one of my neighbors, and I would try to tell him like, hey Manny, what are you doing? What's going on with you? He goes, nah, man, I need to go to the hole, or I need to do something. I can't take this no more. I need to feel contact. I was like, what do you mean you gotta feel contact? I would tell him, go bump yourself in the walls or something. Like, are you serious? He goes, yeah. And then next thing you know, when they're bringing the phone to him, he tries to grab the officer's hand and push it into his cell and into his tray slot. And so next, they push the button, and they're all turtle suit out with their gear on, ready to cell extract him because he has a sheet covering up the front of the cell. He got his little mask on. He was already prepared for it, right? Like he must have woke up with the idea that that's what he was going to do today. And like before he started all that, I was telling him like, why do you got to do that, man? He goes, I don't know. I just need to feel some type of contact. And I was all like, man, that's like, and that's a real thing for him. Like he literally every 3 months will do a cell extraction, and it was normal for him. And so there's also other inmates around there that don't get me wrong, these are like just some of the some of the things that I would see people do that to me even I was like, what? And but there's also a lot of intellectual smart people in there because all they do is have nothing but time and read books, right? I had another neighbor, his name was Greasy, old ass dude, man. And one time I started a conversation with him about, because I used to work at Home Depot and that I had Home Depot stock during that time when I used to work there. And he goes, oh, you know about stock? He goes, and I said, yeah, why? He goes, I know everything there is to know about stock. I said, man, cut it out. And he goes, yeah, I buy all books from to learn how to do stock, when to buy, when to sell, when the market is going up, when it's going down. I got these newspapers coming from all the way from New York, and I was like, man, cut it out. He showed me his bank statement. He had 25,000 on his bank statement. He goes, Carlos, 3 years ago I only had $1,000. $1,000, Carlos, and I got a hold of Schwab, the one that does the trading to selling stocks, and I started buying shares. And the CEO goes, the thing is, you got to do your homework. You got to study all these little companies, look for the new innovative things you can invest on, and then sometimes you hit, and you get paid every single year. And I accumulated all this in 3 months. I did this. I studied. I'm talking about this guy. He goes, I don't even have a high school diploma.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
He goes, I only made it to the 8th grade, but I started reading the stuff in here, and look at me. And so that's another character. And then another character that I met was Noguera. Noguera, now him, he was like a he called himself the artwork professional, right? Like he created the dot work, supposedly, in his mind. He's from Nicaragua, and this guy was trying to tell me about if you want to be the best at something, you got to invest yourself in it, like 24/7. You don't have to do nothing else but just learn everything there is to know about art. Buy all the art books, about Rembrandt, all the colors, what they mean, when you see them, what you feel, and just study art and then start drawing. And I learned all these different techniques that I became the best in all the region to the point where he created a whole, a whole profile book that they use it at the art school in New York somewhere. And he does little seminars over the phone with people off his book. And I was like, nah, bullshit, I don't believe. And he goes, yeah, it's William Noguera. If you guys ever look him up, man, look him up, man, William Noguera. And he sells his art paintings for 30,000, 40,000, and even the officers, you would hear him, and he'll give them deals, right? He'll be like, hey man, I got a Noguera for 5,000, man. He sold me one. Watch, this guy's gonna hit me. Like, there's people like that also, and then there's also people that are political. You know what I mean? They're watching the news, and they're like, whenever they're getting ready to learn about a president that's coming up, they're all watching all the debates, and they have these little disputes. Hey, what do you think about this guy? Trump sucks, man. You know what? That fool's racist. That fool this. But no. Wait a minute. If he sucks and he's bringing all this money back to America, why does he suck? Like you hear all these different debates, right? He's making American companies come back and making them pay their taxes instead of charging all these other places that he's going to. And then they're building all these cars over there in Mexico, and Ford's taxing all these Mexicans, only paying them so much money to build a truck or build a car, and then bringing it back to America, selling it to full price? Hell no. Like little stuff like that, right? He's changing all that. and like there's like looking at from a different lens of the laws that are really going on in place, and then I had my little intellectual partners that I talk about, and then there was times where there was just other people that I would talk to about you know real like family stuff. There was always conversations about everybody and everything on the tier, right? And it just depends on what kind of circle you hang around with. If you go to the yard, you will see the people that are always talking shit about people, like the little circles. And what about him? And what about that? And And if you want to be around a positive person, oh man, like there's a circle of pure positive people. And there's other people that are like, oh, I'm never going home. I'm gonna die here, and woo woo woo, and you could just see some. There's a lot of people that are bitter, and there's no hope in death row, right? And so when I got there and I started seeing all these different like characters and just different type of people, I just try to find my own lane, right? Because I was trying to live a Christian life there with a positive, you know, lifestyle, and to the point where when I would change like change the section from one place to another in death row in the housing, they would ask about me in the tier, be like, hey, who's that new Mexican down there? And I was known as that was on that positive trip, man. And imagine them saying that about me, like that was the handle that they had on me, that was on that positive trip. To me, that speaks volumes because other people are seeing what I'm doing. Other people are already identifying me by what I'm pushing. And to me, I remember getting down on my knees and saying, you know what, God, thank you. You made that possible. And not me, you know what I mean? And so I did the work, but he gave me the inspiration. And so, you know, there's different types of characters there. And every single day, I'm going to keep it real to you. Every single day, I would try to have a conversation that made me feel human, as towards having just a basic conversation of even if it was with the CEO, be like, hey man, so how you doing? You know what I mean? So where'd you go last night? With the CEO officer, and they're like, nah, I went to the club, I had to go over here and this and that, and I was like, well, you got a girl? He goes, yeah, trip out, you know what I mean? He'll show me his in his phone, the phones that got those pictures, he's all showing me like, check it out. Oh, that's your girl? Oh, that's right, you know what I mean? And then like just having little normal conversations that you would have with anybody out in the streets. That's what I seek for every single day, just to feel a little bit of that humanity instead of talking about, he did that and this and that and all the bullshit that was around me, right? And I had those type of conversations with a lot of people, even CEOs like that, about, when I would ask another one, hey, so what you do this weekend? Nah, I'm constructing something in my backyard, I'm putting in a fire pit, and I'll be like, I'm a certified mason, homie. I can help you do the whole blueprints and tell you what kind of blocks to buy, how much to buy. Just tell me what it costs right now at this time. I'll tell you how much you need. I'll do the whole I'll give you different ideas. I can show you my certification and everything right here. I even got pictures. And they'll be like, no way. I said, check it out. Man, if you want to build it yourself, I'll show you how to do it. And stuff like that, right? That's the kind of atmosphere and the lifestyle I was living over there. And, why not? Why let circumstance choke you out? Why let that darkness get the best of you when everything is a choice and every conversation is a choice and everybody that we allow in our circle or in our world is a choice? So why not try to seek out the good avenues in people, right? And when you do that, you're like it just brings a glow to your face. It just brings like this energy, this whole vibe of that you're throwing out. Like like they say, you dish it out, it comes back to you. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of like my experience there and what I've seen in people and but there is a dark side to it. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, there is a lot of dark side to it where people are having, especially during the holidays. That's when people feel it the most. You could hear some people crying like when you're going to the showers, in your chains. You can hear some people crying in their cells because they're missing their families or you know what I mean, that that Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, we're human, you know what I mean? Like we know we messed up, you know what I mean? Like we're stuck here and we gotta live with it and accept it. And there's times I know lie, days would get the best of me in my beginning years, but I learned to accept it. I learned to how to connect with my family and build those bonds again, and even with the community out.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Even with the community out there, started talking to people from Surrey, England, Washington, Kansas, Maine, different people from all around Arizona, and just having like a real strong support system as well as my family and outside friendships, which will help me. It helped me a lot. And those are the things that I could never forget. Those who were there for me in my darkest times when I was in death row. Yeah.
Man, Death Row just seems like a roller coaster of different emotions and different scenes.
Yes.
I have a comment on here from one of our watchers right here. Uh,
All right.
so right now, earlier, you know how you were speaking about the stocks and whatnot. Eliasman tapped in and he put he's speaking facts. My son just did 9 years and came home with $30,000. Online poker, Robinhood platform for stocks. I couldn't believe it.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are things that people that are currently in that place are currently doing, and that's pretty impressive. Being in that place and still being able to
Man,
generate money and things of that nature.
it's possible if we got the time to do it. We got the time to do it, and just having the right people out there supporting you, giving you the right resources, and all it just takes a little bit of investment. And I was learning a little bit before, the guy ended up passing away during COVID. It took a lot of people out in COVID, and he was around that age, where it got the best of him, my neighbor. And that's another thing you see, a lot of people dying in their of old age. And so it's sad to see though, but it happens, you know. The oldest person I seen was like 93 years old in there. Hold on, let me call you back, all right?
Okay, perfect. All right, so we just hit that 15-minute mark. He should be calling us shortly. It normally doesn't take that long for them to reach back. So definitely we'll be here waiting. With the continuance of his life journey. I do see a question on there for him from LA analyst. As soon as he comes back, I'll go ahead and make sure I don't overlook your question there. All these questions. I appreciate them. You guys are taking time out of your day, to listen to these journeys, and I definitely appreciate it and definitely want to ask these gentlemen these questions when you guys ask them. Something that just takes me a little bit of time, just because like I don't want to interrupt them in the middle of their story. So normally I'll take the opportunity when they call back to read these messages off to them.
This
This
call
is
is now being
Global
recorded.
Link. You have a prepaid call from
Carlos Contreras.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Link.
Hello, Carlos.
All right.
All right.
Yes.
And thank you for returning
Yeah.
the call. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so yeah, there was this one Mr. Carpenter, right? And when I first met him, he was 90 years old. I seen him, turn 3 years over there. He was 93 when I left him, right? And so this guy, right? He was in his wheelchair. He pushes his wheelchair. That's how he walks. He pushes his wheelchair out to go to the yard. He was one of those that go out to the yard every single time and play pinochle on the table. But every single time that he's walking, he's smiling, right? He's been down for maybe like 40 some years, and he's always smiling, always smiling. And I remember one time I hit him up on the yard. I told him, "Hey, Mr. Carpenter, how is it you maintain that smile for after so many years? He goes, you know what, youngster? He goes, I'm stress free. So I'm telling you right now, don't sweat the small shit. Just let it go, man. Because stress will kill you. You know, that's what kept me young. That's why I can still walk, and that's why I still smile. I said, all right, that's right. So, you know, it's a trip, man. Like I remember when COVID happened. You know, he caught COVID. They took him to like a medical unit right there in San Quentin, and I remember the day he came back, he was coming back, pushing his wheelchair, and he goes, fuck COVID. COVID can't kill me. Still walking, walked up to his cell, and he goes, all these youngsters will die, but not me. And I was like, damn. And the crazy thing is, people younger than him died over there during COVID right there in San Quentin, man. And but that old man had heart, man. He was one of them old time, old school, you know what I mean, back in the days, you know. So yeah, you run into a lot of characters in there, man.
And right now that
This
you
call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Yeah,
mentioned
you run into a
COVID,
lot of characters in there. Yeah,
earlier on when I was speaking to when I was speaking with David, he mentioned to me that his one of his old cellies was up in San Quentin, and that you knew him, and that he was informed that he passed
yeah,
away.
mm. Yeah. He was on my same tier. His name was David Reed, and he was about, you know, David Reed was about like in his pushing almost gonna hit 50, 57, something like that. He was an older OG. He was together with us in county jail too for a while. I remember when I got there, and he had just built some relationships with his daughter, and I remember on that tier where I was at on the bottom tier. You know, usually all the old people were at, right, and I was in that bottom tier right there, and David Reed died. There was about one, two, seven people on our tier out of 50. No, there's 49 people on the tier all the way down, right? So out of the 49, seven people died just during that time of COVID in 2020, 2019, 2019, 20 when it hit in San Quentin. And yeah, man, when I told him about that, hey, David's gone, man. And then he goes, man, that's messed up, man. He goes, oh, solid dude. I said, I know, man. He was just hooking up with his daughter, and she had just moved out there from wherever she was at overseas in college. She just came back to spend some time with them right there in San Francisco. She had moved, and 2 years later, you know, he died, man. Yeah,
Man, that's rough. That's definitely rough. And when you hear something like that, there's some more comments on
yeah.
here that I don't want to. Oh, I definitely don't want to overlook because sometimes I am easily distracted over here. But we had a question
All right,
from LA analyst, and they put, "Is there a
all
separate
right.
yard for death row inmates, or are they even allowed time outside?"
Okay, and when you first get there, you go to pretty much the AC, the hole. Then from the hole, you get released from the hole. You get released to East Block, and then in East Block, there's 7 yards. And within these 7 yards, there's two SMI yards, and the rest are active, you know. And then there's like the seventh yard is an overflow of like, if you mess up in any one of those 6 yards and they put you on seven, that's like your last yard that you can go to. And then after that, you're stuck in the walk-alones where it's a cage by yourself, and you're just stuck right there for a good 5 years until you figure out if you can go to another yard. And and so there's two SMYs, you know, there's two SMYs. The next one is it's the yard six was SMY, yard five was the whites, the bulldogs, the Indians, and then yard four is SMY, and then yard three was the Cribs, the Cribs, and the Sureños, and the Samoans, and then yard two was the Northerners, the Bloods, and some white boys, some like the Peckerwoods, and then yard one were like the skinheads, some other type of blacks, and like an overflow of Mexicans right there. And then seven was like the wheelchair yard, you know what I mean, where all the people with wheelchairs that are real old. That's like the the viejito yard, right? And that's also the overflow for when you start messing up in those yards, because that's it. You mess up in one of those yards, you could only go to another one, and when you mess up in another one, you end up in seven, and then from seven you go to the kennels, you know, to the cages, and you're stuck there for years and years by yourself.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Carlos. I do have
Mhm.
some more.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read off some more comments here. Let me see here. I got a comment here from Fish Slayer SoCal, and he puts that's right. Carlos is a construction worker. I said mine's carpenters local union 619 here. That's all I know. That's all I know and how I make my money my living.
That's right. Yeah, man. You know, before I caught my case, you know what I mean? Like, I used to work. You know what I mean? I worked my whole life. You know what I mean? You know, I've done all the way from working in Arizona, working at a Ruger, where they make the Ruger 9s, and they also make Callaway golf clubs. I used to work at a big old factory up in Arizona in Prescott for a while. And then after that, I ended up working doing floors, you know, waxing and stripping floors, and also went from that to working in flagstone, big old mountain quarries where they blast the mountains up, and they just take off slabs and slabs of of the mountain of rocks, and then those they cut them up, they sand them down, they cut them into layers, into inches, and then that's what they put flagstone like in top of chimneys, or they create them like for swimming pools or stuff like that. And then I also worked in San Diego. I even worked in San Diego on sheet metal for a while in a union over there, and then did masonry work. You know what I mean? I was certified mason. I did masonry work right here in the valley, in Coachella Valley. And then right before I got busted, I was learning how to become a AC refrigeration. I was taking my AC refrigeration classes. And before all of that, I remember before I came and did all that in Arizona, I still also worked in Home Depot for a while in the lumber department. I was a supervisor over there for a couple of years too. So I learned a little bit of everything, right? You know, customer service, working hard, and construction, and all that. I like working with my hands, you know.
Yeah,
So, you know,
yeah.
I sent my shout out right back at him. You know what I mean? That's right.
And then he also has he has another question also. So he puts let me see here. What kind of treatment was behind the walls during COVID? Let me see. That's a lot of people that died. I'm wondering if they didn't get proper care.
No, like over there, they did this big old transfer when it was first being spread around the prisons. They did this transfer from Chino that hit up in San Quentin. And the thing is, when it hit San Quentin, they had these guys isolated in a little section, right? And it wasn't it wasn't isolated because the officers were catching it. And there's this thing that these officers do, right? They work 16-hour shifts, right? So let's just say they work in the hole, and then in the morning, and then in the afternoon they'll come work in our unit, or they'll work in the hole, or they'll go work in another piece of the prison. And so the officers were the carriers, right? Carrying the COVID everywhere. And that's when it hit, when the guys from Chino, the 59 people that came, and 19 of them had it positive, they spread it through the whole prison within, man, like it took almost like a week. There was like about 1,000 some COVID positive cases, and deaths were flying like crazy. And I remember they just gave us this little like a mask, like a cloth mask made out of like some Levi's, like there was no P90 N95 masks or nothing like that. There was just a little. Man, that wasn't working, and it felt ugly, man, because you were just seeing people dying. Imagine you wake up one morning and you just can't, you know, you're trying to drink your coffee, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. Like that throws your mind off, right? It just what the hell? Like get some like some oils to try to smell something. You can't smell nothing, and then next thing you know, you go to sleep that night. You're having cold sweats, and then it feels like you're sleeping like on your fist from your back, like where your lungs are. It feels like you're just sleeping on a fist the whole night, and it lasted for like 3 days, and then after that, the like a real body ache. Man, it was bad. It was brutal.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It was brutal, and they isolated everybody for a good like 5 months. There was no program, there was nothing, no phones, and not even the showers. The first couple of months, they didn't do no showers. They were making everybody bird bath in their right there in their cell off the sink, and that's how we were showering the whole time. It was terrible.
And not having movement and being restricted like that, what kind of what does that do to your mental health? How were you? Because obviously, I mean, you're not you're single sold, right? In death row, or were you
Yeah,
did you have a okay? So pretty much it's like you were like an addict if you restricted heavily like that.
yeah.
What did that do to your mental health?
It was terrible, man. Because that like you could see it popping off, right? Like the first stages are like people are just in their cells. It's quiet for the first week, right? The second week, people start like, start yelling at themselves. Hey man, what the hell's going on over there? Hey, check this out, woo woo. And then people are like, shut the fuck up, woo, woo. And then next thing you know, after that, you can start seeing like after they stop turning the focus on themselves, they start turning the focus on somebody. They start targeting people. Hey, yeah, hey, you guys see that Vato's case? Hey, what he's here for? And this and that, yeah, that piece of shit down there, over there. Hey, that guy up there, that piece, yeah, that fool this. And they start talking about people. And that becomes the atmosphere for like, you know, for, for like a whole month and a half. People start putting people out on blast, right? And you could you could hear other people just just start like talking to themselves in the cell. Some people just yelling, "I can't take this shit anymore," or just yelling because they want to yell, like la, just to get attention, like I said, and they're just yelling and yelling. And then there is people that do have
You have 60 seconds remaining.
that really do have mental health problems in there, and like I said, they start banging on the walls. They start making like they start getting their buckets. It's just it gets really bad, man. You would think that because we're on the same boat, we would like try to treat each other better. No, man. If anything, they try to make it even worse for the next man here. Like it's crazy. It's a crazy atmosphere, but yeah, man, they do that in there. They it's messed up, but there's a lot of people that have a lot of mental health issues in there, and they don't want to admit it, but they do. So let me call you back.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I got a question for you when you call back.
All right.
All right. So right now, when he calls back, I do see the question that you're asking right here, Iceman. As soon as he calls back, I'll go ahead and well, pretty much is the last question that's on here, so I can't miss it. So I'll go ahead and ask him once he taps right back in, which shouldn't be that much longer. And earlier on, when I was speaking with David, he mentioned that Carlos's picture was up on a website, and I looked it up really quick, and it turns out that the LA Times, it was on the Times website, and pretty much has everybody that's been condemned and are currently on California death row. Well, not everybody's there anymore, but obviously these men are still condemned. I think it's a total of 724 inmates.
This call is now being
This is
recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Carlos Contreras.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Yep.
Hello.
Yeah. All
Okay.
right.
So the next question I have for on here for you is from Eliceman, and he's one of
Yeah.
our followers here. He tends to tap in a lot of our lives. So really appreciate that,
That's
and
right.
everybody else that's tapping in.
That's right.
So he's asking, Eliceman is asking, of the nearly 800 people on death row, how many are in yard 7 and walk alone status? I figured death row was slammed down 24/7. Are there guys that just don't program at all?
Um, every single yard has a capacity of 60, 60, 60, 60, 60, 60 at a time, and but usually 30 of them come out. And walk alone has up to mm, like about 100 and some, and and sometimes they run out of cages, and then sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's you know people don't come out, and I found that a lot of people do isolate on purpose over there because they don't want to deal with just the atmosphere that whatever yard they're on, right? And and they avoid communication. They avoid, a lot of people are still feeling their guilt. A lot of people are avoiding confrontations. A lot of people are running because of their charges or their cases. Because some of them are kind of heinous and some crazy. You know what I mean? Like crazy, crazy ass cases. And they just stay inside because they're scared. And so there's a lot of maybe like 30% of them stay inside because of that, and some of them because they never even been to prison before and they don't know what it's like. But the majority of everybody, they program, they go out, they go out and play basketball, play handball, play cards, work out, kick with with their daily homies every single day. And the thing is about that is the majority is what's like 60, so the majority of each time is like 30 people coming out. So just picture you hang around with those 30 people that go out every single day for the rest of your life. So by the time, they just say you meet one at a time, you'll know everything about a person that they can tell you about themselves within like 6 months. So within like 3 or 4 years, you'll know everybody on that yard. You'll know what they're here for, what they're pushing, what they're selling, what they're about, what they're not. And it gets boring, man. It becomes like a repetitive circle of same conversations, same things. Like no hope, or there is people with hope, or it's just the same stories, right? It's just over and over and over. Rarely you ever find people that are up with the times and have that like what is that word called? And like that endurance to just keep striving, keep going, and keep learning. They're a rare breed, but they're out there. You know what I mean? And a person like that, when you meet them out there on the yard, it's makes life interesting, exciting, because they're bringing something that you never heard of before, or they read a book that's intriguing. You know what I mean? And so yeah.
And what's the most have you ever had when you're on death row, did you have any moments of maybe like a funny moment or some like a moment that brought joy to you? Something that was just different from the everyday misery that's in death row.
Yeah, there's where there's people, there's always those people that out there that have that gift of gap of talking, and or people that just like talking, telling jokes, or you know what I mean. It's not always all doom and gloom. You know what I mean. Don't get me wrong. There's even this atmosphere of people, right? That for example, Big Brother, right? It's like a popular show that comes out on TV. So at the beginning of the season, right before it starts, they're introducing all the characters. So this is a big thing over there. Uh, Books of stamps is considered currency, money. So it'll be like, okay, I got 4 books of stamps. It's what it costs to buy in, and I got 4 books of stamps on that girl on that one. Her name is Aubrey. Boom. And then another, okay, I got four books of stamps on Greg, that he'll make it all the way to the end and win it. And so they watch the whole season, right, of Big Brother, right, or Survival, or all these different shows that they show, and just because they invested money and they watched, it's like a soap opera to them, and and at the end of the whole thing, they get a big old like like 28 books of stamps. That's a lot of money, and or stuff like that. Like there's also football Sunday. Football Sunday. People are cooking. Making burritos, getting it all ready, and sliding it through the cells, and through the fishing it from one side to the other. And you could
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
you could hear people cheering on their teams, real loud, like if they're at the football stadium, the soccer games, you name it. There is also a positive, like a good vibe also in there. You know what I mean? Like trying to make the best out of any situation, right? And yeah, that exists. You know what I mean? There's times where we have our laughing moments and our good moments, but usually it comes from like when people are on phone calls, calling home, and like you're hearing about things that are going on in the streets and stuff like that. Like I guess those are the more moments that make me more laugh than anything, right?
Well, I definitely had a different outlook on what death row would be. I was thinking more it was going to be more doom and gloom, and since you guys had a central unit or a separated unit, then that
Yeah,
everybody had restricted movements and were going to be heavily guarded. And I think that's because I think I don't know if it's Blood In Blood Out or American Me, where they're moving a dead man walking. They have everybody
yeah,
get against the wall, and then they're screaming dead man walking. So I just thought that in Death Row would have been a lot different. But from what you're saying, it's more it's segregated, but they used to have interactions with people because you would get yard time and whatnot, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like and that's kind of like the good parts about it. If you ask anybody, it's like one of the best programs that they have, you know, for being in the hole, and and they give us everything you can name, to keep us entertaining ourselves, like from packages and stuff like that you can order from vendors and this. Like they let us have all that stuff, hobby craft, oils, books, games, like you name it. They let us have it just so that we can find time to entertain ourselves in our cell, and we don't harm them and we don't harm ourselves. So, as program wise, and it's one of the best programs you can have while being in the hole. There's people that were in general population that I know for a fact, or that were in the courtroom shoe, that that they killed an officer, or they killed an inmate, just so that they can come to death row and get a better program than being in the courtroom shoe. And because they had the STG, they were slammed in the shoe for an interminate shoe. They're never getting out, and so they would do that and get better programming over here in death row. So that was an option for people, and people were really doing that.
Thank you for that, Carlos. And I have a question from our audience members. Um, was there any
Yeah.
and this is questions coming from Elias, man. Did any inmates on death row make the hair on your back, the back of your neck, stand up?
Yeah, you run into those. You run into the ones that are kind of weird. Here and there,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
like the ones that you can't trust, and you feel like they still have that evil intent, and you just can't. The respect level over there is it's a lot different. You know what I mean? Like everybody's a killer on the yard, right? So everybody already knows. Don't walk. You don't walk behind a person whatsoever. If someone's having a conversation, hey, excuse me, hey, is it okay if I can, it's real respectful as towards that aspect, and nobody puts their hands in their, we don't have pockets over there. They don't put their hands like towards like inside their shorts because if you do that means you're strapped up and you're about to do something. So that's like we already know all the warning signs, and you're around a bunch of killers, people that ain't scared. You know what I mean? Ain't fearful for nothing, and that. But you can sense the people that are like they're like when they're about to do something or they're just high off of whatever it is they're high off, and they're out there running around the yard all crazy. Yeah, it exists. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. Yeah.
And have you ever come across anybody that that you would say like, damn, like this dude shouldn't never get out, like he deserves to, actually be here?
Man, there's this one guy, right? Like they were they use his cell extraction, his it's 8 hours, 8 hours cell extraction. They use his videotape to train the the COs. It's like one of the main videos of use. And this guy's a bulldog, right? And whenever he goes anywhere, he'll come off the cuffs. He'll come off of them, and he'll slice a nurse, an officer, anybody. And he usually has a razor in his mouth, right? And that person, in his mind, he's still out to get anybody and anybody that he can hurt. And so there is people like that in there. There is people that don't break that mentality where they still feel like they gotta victimize the system, victimize somebody, or they gotta take out frustration on somebody else, or saying like, you know what, if they're gonna kill me, I'm gonna try to hurt as many as people I can before they kill me. They have that mentality, and yeah, there's people out there still like that that got caught with bone crushers inside of them, or that pull the CO's hands inside the tray slot while they're taking off their handcuffs. When they're taking them off of them, they turn around and just start slicing them from their arms to the officer. Boom! Like, man, there's people when you're just walking a chow and your tray slot's open while you're using the phone. They try to stab you with, I've seen white, skinheads trying to stab black people, and it happens. Yeah, there's still a lot of crazy ass killers in there. You know what I mean? And some of them are still active, and first chance they get, or depending on what they run, they'll still try to get you in there. Yeah.
And right now with California, what they're doing right now, eventually, is their plan is just to completely close down San Quentin, or are they still gonna house certain inmates there because they're high profile, or are they gonna shut down the whole tier?
They're gonna ship them out. They're gonna ship them out to the whole. It's only after they ship out everybody, San Quentin Death Row is just gonna be a reception. That's all it's gonna be. It's just a place where you get if you're in county jail and you get sent to death row, they're gonna send you to San Quentin, process you there like a reception, and then send you to a prison somewhere, wherever it is you're gonna start your time. And until they get a governor that is for the death penalty and that is ready to.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Right now, as we speak, there is 17 people ready to be executed right now. All their appeals has been exhausted, and that's it. They have no more appeal process out of the 3 appeals that they get. They're ready to be executed right now. There's a one-shot cocktail ready to be administered, and if they find the right governor that wants to do it and start killing, they'll start it up. Let me call you back.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, so we got to that 15-minute mark. He should be giving us a call back shortly. This is probably going to be our last call for the night right now. After this one, I gotta I've been on the phone since about what 4:30, so about the last 3 hours. So I gotta get some dinner and do some other stuff around the house. So definitely tune in. We should be back on tomorrow. I'll double check with David and also Carlos to check what their availability is. I just sent a message to Silas to check if he wants to get on this week. So definitely gonna bring back some of the first interviews like Silas, Ricky, and Gary. It's just kind of hard, I just gotta figure out how to juggle all these interviews because they do take up hours. Normally when I get on here, it's not I at least a minimum it's an hour that I'm on the phone. So depending on the individual and the story, it might be even longer than that. So hey, thank you, Elias, man. I appreciate you guys too. Interacting and dropping questions here that definitely help me out here. Um, and does add a extra element of interaction. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to tune in and ask questions. Previous to this, I don't think I've seen any other podcast or YouTube channel that was doing something like that, where they're actually bringing in a live guest and have the audience ask questions.
This call is now
This
being
is
recorded.
Global Tel Link. You have a prepaid call from
Carlos Contreras.
an inmate at the Centinela State Prison, Centinela, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. You have a prepaid call. You will not be charged for this call. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
All right.
Hello, Carlos. All right,
Yeah.
so this is
All right.
right now for the night. This is gonna be our last phone call because I gotta go get dinner. I'm pretty sure it's cold now. I'm pretty sure I'm hearing my wife screaming.
That's right.
Your food is cold. So this is gonna be the last one for the night.
That's
But
right.
um, no,
That's right.
definitely want to bring you back on. So I'm not sure what your availability is this week. Um, I'll be
Hmm.
available, tomorrow. So Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I won't be available on the weekend. But yeah, if you definitely want to get on, just let me know, and then we'll set something up. Definitely want to bring you on because
Okay.
we've done multiple phone calls, but at the end of the day, these phone calls are never gonna be enough because we're talking about
Yeah.
years, decades of you being incarcerated. So
Right.
it's just, I mean, we could just do phone call at a time and try to get through it. But I'm sure you've seen all kinds of things. You've seen the changes within the prison system and within the legal system. So
Yeah.
all of that, sharing it day by day is never gonna be enough. But I want to go ahead and thank you. I definitely want to thank all of you guys because you guys are taking time out of your day. You guys could be doing other things, with your time. So definitely want to thank all of you, for participating in this.
That's right. Yeah, and likewise, I share the same sentiment with you. You know what I mean? Like, thank you for giving us a platform and a place where we can speak about our experiences and at the same time let them know that true change can happen with any person, right? If they really want it and if they apply themselves. And not everybody in prison is a throwaway. Not everybody in prison is no good. You know what I mean? There's people, just things happen to them, and they just made the wrong choice at the wrong time and cost them their life, right? In prison for the rest of their lives. And it can happen to anybody out there. And so, I just thank you for allowing us to express ourselves on this podcast. And with God, I mean, I believe that a lot of things can happen, and the way the world's going right now, believe it or not, it doesn't look pretty. So, the message is urgent. Change is needed, and for those who don't believe, man, I encourage you to seek, who Jesus Christ is, man, because that's that's who I give all the glory and the honor to. That's who helped me on my new awakening, on my new walk, and it's been nothing but good for me on all levels, right? I'm not gonna say being a Christian is easy. You go through refining moments and changes in life, and through different layers of yourself, and so it's the devil's there, and the devil's gonna try to stop your plan that God has spoken into your life, and so once you come with this awareness and this understanding and the discernment of things you go through, and also appreciate the bad things and the good things, you're gonna get pretty far in life because now you can reflect, you can be aware, and you can attempt life now with different lenses, with more caution, with more resistance, with more responsibility, and also with more vision and goals to try to seek your way out of this place, right? And at the same time, it's like with me, if I don't have that privilege, to try to help those that are coming out, because those are the people that are gonna be your neighbors, and so why not help them before they get out, these little youngsters, or even if they're older, and teaching them the values of how worthy they are and how important it is for them to go back and be help to their families, be a help to their kids, to be help to their wives, and to give back, you know what I mean? To give back, that's real important. So I thank you. And if you want to try to do it on Wednesday, I'll be open Wednesday again. And we could try doing another one again on Wednesday if you want.
Yeah, I think
Just
yeah, definitely
set the
Wednesday.
time.
Wednesday would definitely be a good day. Yeah, so we could set it up for Wednesday. Um,
Okay.
about the same time. I think 6, 6:30
Okay.
would be easier for me.
That that
So
sounds
like I
good.
don't have to rush around,
That's right.
trying to get home and get to the computer. But yeah, definitely. Yeah,
But yeah,
that would
thank you,
definitely work
James.
out. You're welcome. You're welcome.
That's right.
But before we go, let me ask you one question. And this was a
Yeah.
question that Fish Slayer Sokal asked as David. If you had the opportunity, to speak to your younger self, what would you advise yourself? If you could go back in time and speak some wisdom or some guidance, to go down a different path.
Man,
What?
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
you know what? Like, all I could tell him is prepare him. I wouldn't want him to change nothing. I would tell him to prepare his heart, encourage him, and letting him know that, you're going to go through some rough things in life, and to not to kill himself, and to just be strong, that everything that you're going through, this too shall pass. Because trying to change something will change the whole trajectory of who I am now. And I believe everything that I went through was for a purpose, and everything that I know now was for me to learn and to give back, and at the same time to gain salvation, right? Because I could have been dead a long time ago. And telling my younger self, I would just tell him to embrace himself, to be strong. Don't give up. You're gonna have a lot of trials. You're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna be rejected. You're gonna be an addict. You're gonna be a gang member. You're gonna be used. And to not to give up, not to give up. I wouldn't want nothing to change, but just to tell him not to give up. You know.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's I mean, I mean, I think I would tell myself the same thing if I was in that situation. And you said something interesting, something about not unaliving yourself. Um, at the early days of you getting your sentence, how constant was that thought in your mind that you didn't want to live anymore?
Um, it was strong. I didn't have it. I didn't have it until when I got to San Quentin. When I got to San Quentin, that's when it became real strong because I was, like I said, I don't think anybody, I've never experienced watching all my family members crying for me, pleading for my life, all at one time, you know, and trying to speak up to save my life. Like, I'd never seen my brothers or my mom or my sisters plead like that. Like, I've never seen them cry like that. I've never seen them speak like that, and that kind of broke me, because the enemy put that in my head. You're gonna be a burden. You're ashamed. You disgrace the last name. And that got to me. Like after doing so many prison sentences, like I started believing the lies, and and it was just during that moment, right? That moment in my life that I felt that, and I'm glad that I didn't, because out of not succeeding and getting help and treatment, I wouldn't have been able to counsel my sister through college, encouraging her to stay in college, you know, help her through her classes in psychology. I wouldn't be able to help my other sister go through a divorce by encouraging her, being there for her, being that voice to not to give up, to be there for her kids, getting her into faith, leading her to the cross, like building these relationships with my brothers that I've never had before on a whole nother level, building these relationships with my mom and my dad that I've never thought that I could ever build, and getting all the hugs that I can from my dad in a real legit in a genuine way that I've always wanted. And you know, none of that would have happened if I would have took my life that day. And so, it's a thought that happens, and I'm glad that God has a better plan for me. He made me see what I would have missed, like by living it out. Like, man.
All right, David. And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the stream, and we'll be in contact on Wednesday.
All right, so that's me, Carlos Contreras, and ya sabes. Thank you, You have a good night. God bless you.
Sorry, man. I just man, I'm thinking about that food of plate. I'm thinking about that warm food of plate,
Yeah.
that plate of food.
All right.
All right, man. Sorry about that, man. My
All right. You have a
apologies.
good night, Hey, thank you for that, And you have a good night, all right, my brother.
All right, you as well. Thank you.
Uh,
All right, I just want to go ahead and thank you guys, and you guys go ahead and have a good night, and we'll definitely be back on. I think tomorrow we'll be on tomorrow, and for sure we'll be back on Wednesday. So you guys go ahead and enjoy the rest of your day.